Welcome to Mindful with Minaa, where we explore how mindfulness can enhance your relationships and well-being. I'm your host, Minaa B, a licensed social worker, mental health educator, and author. Through insightful discussions, I will guide you towards self-awareness and self-efficacy, empowering you to effectively manage your relationships, reduce burnout, and be more present with yourself. So let's jump into today's episode. What's up, Mindful community? Welcome back to Mindful with Minaa. I'm your host, Minaa B, and it has been a minute since you've heard my voice. Or maybe not, because hopefully you're listening to old episodes. But if you're new here or if you're returning, I am so happy to be jumping back into episodes for the fall of this year. First of all, y'all, I cannot believe it is already September. I can't believe time just flies by the way that it does. And so much has been happening in my life. So as you see from the title of this episode, I'm doing things a little differently. I want to start inviting you all into the behind the scenes of my life, I guess I'll call it, where I'm just sharing tidbits of different things that are going on, projects that I'm working on, and just giving you a little more insight into who Minaa is, who your host is. So over the last few months, I have had a lot going on. First of all, I got accepted into the Goldman Sachs 1 Million Black Women program. And as much as I enjoyed the program, and I'm very grateful I got the opportunity to be a part of it, it was rigorous and it was exhausting. I don't think that I would ever do another accelerator business program. And for those of you who may not be familiar with the program, it's pretty much a mentorship program for Black women entrepreneurs, and you do have to apply to get into the program. And so I remember them telling us they received around 1,000 applications and they only selected 300 people. So it really is an amazing opportunity. So the next time a cohort goes live, I really do encourage you to participate or apply if you are a Black woman who is looking to strengthen your business. And if you feel like maybe you're in a startup phase of your business, you can also be well established because it's a great networking opportunity as well. But I would say it's definitely for beginners. It's definitely for people who are looking for deep insights regarding marketing and finances and profits and just things that I feel like many people starting out in entrepreneurship may not know. For me personally, there were a lot of things that I kind of did know, but it was also really great for me to get the networking opportunity. And it was really great for me to solidify a lot of the things that I kind of already knew, but also build upon that. So that was about 13 weeks, and that program started in March and it ended in May, and we graduated in June. So a lot has been happening. I've been traveling for work while also trying to take care of my health and wellness. So another thing that has been happening for me is I struggle with severe migraines. And over the last few months, I realized the severity of my migraines, and I would just take Excedrin, and it got to a point where I was just like, I realized I'm taking Excedrin maybe 2 to 3 times a week, and that's not healthy for me, I would say. I started to realize this is a bit too severe for me to consistently have to take medication. And so I decided to see a neurologist and really focus on my health, which has played a role in why I also decided to step back from the podcast for the season and really just focus on getting through the accelerator program. But also I wanted to focus on my health journey and just figure out, why am I struggling with such severe migraines? And so I went to see a neurologist, and luckily everything came back fine. I had to do an MRI. I also had to do an MRA. But I also noticed that in the midst of me dealing with migraines, I would experience pain in my ear. So last summer, I experienced a really severe ear infection in my right ear that just would not go away. I also feel like it was poorly treated, to be honest. I don't feel like the care that I got from the doctors were I don't know, I guess as attentive as it could have been, just because I don't think I was given the proper medication to really treat an ear infection. So it kept going from an inner ear infection to an outer ear infection and just kept going back and forth, back and forth. And it was awful. I do not know how children deal with ear infections, because as an adult, it was probably one of the most painful things that I've gone through. And so basically, the reason why I'm bringing that up is because I started to have ear pain, and I was like, oh no, am I getting another ear infection? And I'm also experiencing ear pain with my migraine. And so maybe I should go back to the ENT, who was the person who actually helped me understand why I was getting the ear infection, what was happening, and gave me the proper medication. So I was bouncing around with doctors when I had the ear infection, but finally my ENT was on point. So I went to see my ENT and I got diagnosed with something called TMJ. I cannot even tell you how to pronounce it. I would just encourage you to Google it if you've never heard of TMJ. But I never heard of it personally. And it was very fascinating to understand that the joints in my jaw is playing a role in why I am experiencing severe migraines. And so over the last few months, I really have just been on a journey of mitigating and managing stress. Yes, I am a therapist, but you all have heard me say this in previous podcasts or even on my social media network. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'm immune from stress. And TMJ is often the root cause of stress. And so I had to really start paying attention to things that I was carrying. I started to pay attention to burnout. I started paying attention to my schedule, because I also realized that I had a lot on my plate and I was trying to manage my personal life, meaning hanging out with friends and practicing self-care and doing all of these things disconnected from work. But I don't think that I was harmonizing my life and being realistic with the demands that I had. It was one of those situations where I was juggling a lot of glass balls. And unfortunately, if I would have dropped a few of them or even one of them, there would have been consequences to that. So I'm saying this because I do believe that sometimes we are striving for balance. And I feel like sometimes the stories we tell ourselves is that in order to practice self-care, things have to look a certain way, things have to be rigid, and there is no room for flexibility or compromise when you are trying to build a particular life. And for me right now, I'm being honest, I'm juggling a lot. I am juggling a lot. And as a result of that, I have had to practice flexibility with my lifestyle, but also with my schedule, because a year ago, I would have had the belief that, I'm not going to work on the weekends, for example. And now there are moments where I find myself saying, you know what, on a Sunday, I'm going to spend maybe an hour or two. I'm not going to take my whole entire Sunday and work, but maybe I'm going to work for 1 to 2 hours within that day because I have a lot on my plate. And this is the best way for me to manage what is on my plate. So like I said, a year ago, I would have been like, no, I ain't working on the weekends. You crazy. I'm only working Monday through Friday. And now there are times where I find myself recognizing that life is all about pivoting and readjusting and literally just being flexible, and recognizing that sometimes when you are trying to build a certain life, you're going to be juggling a lot of glass balls. You're going to have to compromise in certain areas. You're going to have to figure out where you want to be flexible and how you can be flexible. And so for me right now, it's really being mindful of what I'm carrying, what I'm putting on my schedule, and recognizing what can be delegated versus what I need to have full control over. Because maybe there are some glass balls that can be passed on to someone else. Maybe there are systems that I can use to help me manage the burdens and all of the work that I have to do. And so that's pretty much where I've been. in the last few months, and I've been doing that honestly to help me manage stress so that I cannot have as significant migraines, So I wanted to share these updates regarding life. Life with Mina is literally all about what's going on with Mina B, what is happening behind the scenes. And right now, Mina is just doing everything that she can to manage and mitigate this TMJ. I've also am in physical therapy, and just to give a little more insight too, a lot of my TMJ is connected to my neck. So I went and got a massage, but the masseuse really, really spent a lot of time focusing on my neck area. It was actually called a structural massage. So this is not the same thing as getting a hot stone massage or a deep tissue massage. It's very specific, and this person specialized in TMJ and knew how to treat it and the different exercises that she could do with me, or I would say the different stretches and different things she could do to my body to help mitigate the TMJ. And it was such a relief because I had so much tension in my neck. And I've talked about this before. We carry stress in our body. We carry stress in our body. And so sometimes you don't even realize that stomach pain you constantly have, the back pain you constantly have, the pain in your neck that you constantly have is often related to stress. And so right now, these are the different things that I am doing to manage my TMJ. If you actually want to learn a little more, feel free to leave a comment so that I can give you all updates on how my TMJ recovery is going, because I really want to do what I can to mitigate the pain that I've been experiencing, because migraines are no joke, especially when you're dealing with them chronically. And I get a migraine, like I said, 2 to 3 times a week. Ever since I started therapy and ever since I got this massage, I have not had a migraine. I had a flare up recently, but I think I went like 2 weeks without any pain, which is a big deal for me. So I'm just doing everything that I can to just continue to manage what's on my plate, while also living life and while also having fun and just being centered and being grounded and practicing self-attunement as much as I can to learn more about what my body needs, especially as we go into the fall. And that's my question for you. As we wrap up summer and we start to approach fall, we're approaching the end of year, and I'm not trying to rush it. I know y'all are probably like, girl, let it just be September. But I really love the fall, and it is an opportunity for me to just take a moment to reflect on my experiences over the last few months. And so I would say I'm coming out, and not necessarily coming out because I'm still in a recovery phase, but I think I'm definitely coming out of a season of extreme busyness. And I do feel that I am in a season of recovery right now. I'm in a season of figuring out what I need to shed, what I need to let go of. I'm also in a season of figuring out what I want to be attuned to, what my needs are, and anticipating what my needs will be as, the seasons change and my workload starts to shift. And I'm trying to be more mindful with what my body needs, what my spirit needs, what my mind needs, what my heart needs right now. Does it need more community? Does it need more solitude? Does it need more opportunities to play? Does that mean going to the museum? Does that mean doing a little more traveling? Does that mean just honestly engaging in different types of rest, whether it be mental rest or creative rest or emotional rest, because rest is not just about going to sleep. And I'm going to unpack that in another episode. But right now, just sharing with you all my thoughts and where I am in this season and what I'm hoping to produce for myself and what I'm hoping to step into. But I am curious to know, what season are you coming out of? And what are you hoping to walk into? So before I wrap up today's episode, I have some really exciting news for you all. I am going to be teaching a residency at CIVANA in Carefree, Arizona from September 25th through 30th. During this time, I'm going to be teaching a variety of workshops. One of them is going to be around emotional rest, which is what I'm talking about right now. Another workshop is going to be helping us understand how community plays a vital role in our mental and emotional health and giving people the tools to practice that self-attunement and self-nourishment that I'm talking about as we step into the fall. And I would love for you to join me if you have the opportunity. And so in the show notes, you are going to find a special link that will give you a 20% discount off of your room rate. And once you click that link, it will take you to the CIVANA website so you can learn more about the visit. You can learn more about the different amenities that are included in your stay. But I really hope that you get the opportunity to work with me in person. And if you cannot make this residency, don't worry. I want you to also subscribe to my newsletter because I'm working on something very, very special, especially if you live in New York City. So make sure you stay tuned for all of the fun things that I have coming up for you all and the different ways that you can learn from me in person as the fall rolls out. But lastly, for those of you who are living in New York City and you need a therapist, you can also book a consultation to work with me because I am taking on new clients right now. So in the description box, I'm going to leave all of that information, the link that you can book a consultation with me to work with me for one-on-one therapy and learn more about my services. But I'm also going to leave my link regarding my stay at CIVANA from September 25th through 30th. And if you have any questions for me, feel free to shoot me an email. So that is all for today's episode. Stay tuned for next time.